Ms. Fischer, moving on to the level 3 grievance regarding Title I teachers.
So tonight before you, we have a level 3 grievance regarding specifically 3 title teachers. And it talks about the definition of general duty time and what is general duty time and how we use it. Essentially, the disagreement right now is how we've scheduled this general duty time. We have these 3 title teachers scheduled doing progress monitoring for the RTI time, which is essentially a non-certified function. So our interventionists right now are also doing the progress monitoring, and the district is considering that a general duty time as assigned by the district. The grievance is over this entire fact that the teachers don't feel that this is general duty time and is student contact time, and therefore we're misscheduling them during their duty day. So obviously administration would recommend denial of the grievance, and I think you would want to hear from the teachers as well. So
Can you give us, right out of the master agreement, what the general duty time statement or that was agreed upon in last negotiations, what that says?
The definition of general duty time as written, word for word out of the master agreement, it states general duty time will include such items as, number 1, being available to students seeking assistance, number 2, being available to parents, number 3, meeting with department chairperson and specialists, and number 4, being available to administrators for conferences and faculty meetings and carrying out other responsibilities as indicated by the school district.
Okay. Thank you. I believe you're going to represent, well, you can go right here, I guess, if you'd like. Or grab a chair.
This is great.
If you'd introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Mark Schmiesing, and I'm with Education Minnesota out of the Willmar office, and I will go through a good portion of my presentation here very quickly because Ms. Fischer covered it very well. We're dealing with a grievance that's filed by the reading recovery teachers, and they are on the teacher salary, part of Education Minnesota, and covered by the collective bargaining agreement. In Article 12, Section 10 of the master agreement, it states that part-time teaching, I guess we're not even in conflict about this anymore, so I don't have to bother going through that. We went through a series of schedules and came to a point where we had the number, where we agreed on the percentages. Okay. After the meeting discussing the issue in the level 1 of the grievance procedure, the district issued a 4th schedule to these teachers. In this schedule, the number of minutes for prep was correct. The number of student contact minutes had to be reduced, and the number of general duty minutes had to be increased in order to satisfy the percentages outlined by the contract.
Okay, repeat that. Scheduled.
Okay.
Prep time was correct.
Prep time was correct.
Student contact time had to be reduced.
Student contact minutes had to be reduced, and the number of general duty minutes had to be increased in order to satisfy the percentages outlined by the contract.
All right.
Okay? To accomplish this, on Fridays, when these teachers are assigned to a classroom with students, half of each half-hour block is termed student contact, and half of each half-hour block is for progress monitoring, which is termed by the district general duty time. The district's argument is that the progress monitoring is general duty time. The association disagrees with this and believes that when teachers are with students monitoring their progress, that this is student contact time. As stated earlier tonight in the contract, general duty time is being available to students seeking assistance, being available to parents, meeting with department chairpersons and specialists, being available to administrators for conferences and faculty meetings, and carrying out other responsibilities as indicated by the school district. At this time, these teachers are not, when in class doing progress monitoring, available to students seeking assistance. They are not available to parents. They are not able to meet with department chairpersons and specialists, and they are not available to administrators for conferences and faculty meetings. The district will argue that the teachers are carrying out other responsibilities as indicated by the school district, and the association will argue that progress monitoring is student contact time and makes the teacher unavailable for all other general duties as outlined by the contract. And that's the essence of.
Okay, so we're talking about 30 minutes every Friday, is that what I'm hearing?
We're talking about, I
15
believe it
minutes,
is
2 different
7
blocks.
half-hour blocks of time, and of those 7 half-hour blocks of time, the district argues that roughly half of it is for student progress monitoring, and the other half is for delivering reading recovery instruction.
So how many minutes are we talking about?
Well,
because I'm hearing 15 minutes of a half-hour block, 2 blocks is what I heard, so that's 30
in the
minutes.
schedule,
Is that correct or no?
in the schedule, there are 7 of these half-hour blocks on Fridays.
Okay,
And of those 7 blocks, 10 to 15 minutes of it is for general duty time progress monitoring
of each block.
of each block.
So you're talking 70 minutes
Yeah.
to 90 minutes,
Yeah,
roughly.
the way when I went through the calculation, I did 12 and a half minutes, 10 to 15. I didn't know which number we wanted to use, so I did 12 and a half minutes times 7, so
84, 90 minutes, yep. Okay.
I'd like to know what progress monitoring means.
progress monitoring means delivering a test to the students to monitor their progress. It's as I understand it, it's a computerized test, and maybe the reading recovery teachers can.
Is it conducted one-on-one?
Yeah.
Or is it a series of
Yes.
students?
How long does that test take per student?
It's not very long.
1 minute, is my understanding. 1 minute for the test. Obviously, it takes a minute or 2 to gear up and a minute to wind down, but the test itself, I believe, is 1 minute.
And these students are seeking assistance with their progress monitoring.
Well, the progress monitoring, I think, is a part of the program. It's a part of what has to be done in order to satisfy the requirements of the reading recovery program.
Absolutely. The way we work this year is very different than the way we've worked in the past as a result of our priority and focus status, correct?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
So what I'm hearing is that we're asking to reduce those teachers' student contact time. Is that what I'm hearing be done?
Well, back in October.
I mean, that's the gist of the question, right?
In that it would be the gist of it. That would.
So, what are we
reduce it to
going to do
would be
instead?
0.86 of an FTE.
I'll give you an example. One of the teachers helped one of my kids with reading.
Yeah.
Did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
So, my question is, if this is considered student contact time, and we're going to reduce that, what are they going to be doing instead? Because I'm hearing that we need to spend time with kids, but if we're spending time with kids, then we're reducing our time we're not going to be spending with kids. So you can't have both. To me, you can't have both ways. And you want free time, or you want prep time, or you want what's the
Well,
alternative?
it would be the time to do all of those other duties that are outlined in the contract that we just discussed. It would be being available to students seeking assistance.
And the students who need progress monitoring are not seeking assistance?
They are probably, it would be a part of student contact then, would it not, if it's not a scheduled time?
I'm not sure. I'm asking.
In my opinion, it would be a part of student contact time if it's a scheduled time.
Okay.
So the situation is, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate the attitude, but if this is not student contact time, when they're in contact with students monitoring their progress, then what is it?
I guess, I mean, I look at it and say, when is there not student contact?
Typically,
I mean, if I'm monitoring a hall and I need to discipline that student for not doing something,
Right.
or doing something that they shouldn't be in the hall, that's student contact, but the union doesn't believe that that's student contact.
The difference would be in the scheduling of the time and the flexibility or inflexibility of the time. Because if they're scheduled to be in a class with students delivering this progress monitoring, which is a valuable thing and has to be done, that's a scheduled time when those teachers then are not available to do the other types of things like you just talked about, or when a student has to come in for some extra help, or when a parent wants to be in contact with a teacher for an explanation as to what kind of a...
So we're saying we need to hire someone for those 70 to 90 minutes is what it
And
is.
we only have 3 teachers that are doing this currently?
There's only 3 teachers, yes. And there's 2 ways in our original, when we originally brought this up, we said there's 2 ways to get this done. Either we have to define the student contact time and the general duty time as it's written in the contract, or we have to increase their FTE. And we're open to either.
Okay.
When you're doing progress monitoring, are you teaching a student once they know how to use the computer?
It's a duty that was assigned to those teachers as part of the time that they're in contact with students.
I understand. I'm just trying to understand the responsibility.
The responsibility is to monitor the progress of that student.
Is to be in the computer lab at that time.
No.
Then you can speak. You can come up and speak on your behalf.
We go into the room, we go into the rooms with our iPads and do the progress monitoring that way.
And so you're there to provide the iPad to the student.
No, we do the iPad, we do the testing of the child using it.
So you're administrating the test through the iPad.
Yes.
They're not actually doing it themselves.
No. we have to do it.
Okay. So, okay.
How many students do you do that for in one class in the morning?
Varies from classroom to classroom.
Just general.
I mean, in that 70 to 90 minutes, how many students are you doing this? Is that, I mean,
Yeah.
is that a fair way of asking it
Yeah, I
too?
guess I'm just wondering, because we're talking about, we're down to minutes now that we're talking about, so I'm hearing that's a 1-minute test, so I'm just curious, how many students are we doing?
Well,
it
it
for?
takes probably 3 to 4 minutes to administer it. By the time the student
Okay.
comes back, you hand them the sheet of paper, you give them their directions, you start the timer, they read, you send them on their way. So I would say it takes about 3 to 4 minutes minimum for a student. And I would say there are 5 to 9 students in any one classroom.
Right. It's just only students at risk that are monitored
So
weekly.
5 students a week.
5 to 9
9.
per classroom, there's
Per
7
week.
classrooms.
And I'm sorry, I recognize most of you by face, but I don't know all of your names. I just want to make sure, are you listed on this?
No, I'm Linda Nichols. I
Yeah,
coordinate Title I for the
Okay.
district.
And then,
I'm Ellie Winslow.
okay, so you are listed on here. Okay, thank you.
One thing that might be confusing to you is that progress monitoring has to do with our RTI time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did understand?
I do understand that, yes.
Okay.
And I
So-
understand that we're working as a team to make sure that we remove our focus and priority status.
Okay.
And it is changing the way we work.
And so the progress monitoring is from our Ames web.
Yes, I'm familiar with that. Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Is there some examples of general duties that do not involve working with students?
Teachers have general duty from 7:15 until 8:15.
What's the difference between general duty and prep? I'm just curious.
Prep is a 56-minute block of time where teachers have time during the student contact day to prepare each day for their students going forward. The before school time, which is 7:15 to, we have some PLC times, which is teachers working together.
Some
And then there's some
collaborative time.
times in the morning where there's no specific duties assigned that teachers have to work in their room, contact parents, prepare for the day.
That can be done during prep time, contact stuff, if need be. Just trying to understand the language. It's a whole different kind of language system.
Well,
Perhaps
Right.
general,
And
you know,
maybe
I'm
you
just
can
trying to
explain that
understand.
better.
Well, and let me clarify something. General duty time is specifically only listed in the master agreement once, and that's right here, under part-time teachers. It does not list general duty time for anybody else. So that before school and, you know, if there's a few minutes after school, it's not defined as a term in the master agreement. I think the
Except
term
for-
general duty has been used interchangeably with that
But I
time.
think there'd be a fairly well-established past practice that would,
And I
I think
don't
that's-
believe that past practice is present today when we're a focus and priority school.
and I appreciate everything that you're saying with the focus and priority school, but you do still have a collective bargaining agreement.
We
that has to
do,
be-
and that language is reviewed very frequently. And so if a definition has been needed in the past or needed in the future, there's that opportunity.
Sure.
Yes.
So that, I mean, what you're saying is that general duty time was agreed to on the last negotiations for that agreement.
Actually, I think it's been in there for quite a while.
Right, it
Well,
is. Right.
Yes, it was.
Point being, it was agreed to by
yeah.
that, the group of people that represented the part-time and full-time teachers.
Sure.
Saying this is satisfactory terminology.
Yeah.
And
Liz, is there I'm just looking at an example of one of the teachers' schedules. Is there a difference between general duty time and what's deemed here general duties?
Oh, no, that's what we're referring to as.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I'm just curious, because I also see blocks of time called
Yeah.
general duty time. And I'm just wondering, is general duties, some contracts have on there at the, you know, in other duties at the discretion of, do we have that in the language? Is that part of our language law?
That's essentially what it's saying right here, and carrying out other responsibilities.
At the discretion?
Right.
So those would be general duties. Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Schmeezing or anybody else? Otherwise, I'll close that portion and just have conversation amongst us as a board member.
If the grievance is denied, then the current schedule would be the one that we go forward with.
That we go forward with, correct. And then the group would have the option to move ahead to arbitration for another step. Correct.
What is the I'm just trying to think of both sides and everything and take in information, but is there we talk about, is there a hardship to the teachers? And what is the hardship if it's denied, it continues to be denied, and they have to live with the current schedule? What is the...
Well, there are a number of things that aren't included in this particular grievance, but that are true, and that is, for example, these teachers don't have PLC time. Which is...
Just obviously, can you explain that? PLC. Again,
Well, the
terminology.
professional learning community time, which is, again, a SIG grant initiative for priority and focus schools, is a place where...
That doesn't happen during their prep time. I thought you were going to say
No. Professional learning communities at this point in time are meeting for most of the general ed teachers either 2 or 3 days a week, and you'll have to help me with this. One school, I believe, is 2 and one school is 3. Is that the way it's working or something?
Not that I'm aware of, it should be 2 at 45 minutes.
Okay, so 2 45-minute sessions a week, and that's happening from when they're required to get to school until students show up. Okay, is when, and these teachers don't have any professional learning community time, and if they had general duty time at that time of the day, they could participate in professional learning communities, as an example.
Keep in mind that's if they were scheduled during that time. And that has certainly been something that we've discussed, is do we change the schedule and include them during that PLC time? And during that discussion, it was determined because of the specific nature of the PLCs and what they're working on, it may not be in the best interest of these specific roles to be a part of that PLC because it may not pertain. So it's certainly beneficial information as a teacher, but may not pertain in their general duties and what they're saying.